Hello, my name is Nick Sanger and I'm part of the local delivery team within the Office of Product Safety and Standards. My colleague Neil Boyle and I would like to welcome you to this session titled Perspectives from Business Active in Primary Authority. The session will explore insights from 3 different users of Primary Authority, located in 3 different countries of the UK, Wales, England and Scotland, from 3 different sectors: healthcare, hospitality and car sale. Now a few words from my colleague Neil.
Thanks, Nick. Welcome everyone and thank you for joining our session. In the next 30 minutes, we'll be having brief conversations with 3 different users of the Primary Authority scheme. One of the ways we can learn more about how and why businesses are using the Primary Authority scheme is by sharing their experiences. In the next 30 minutes, we'll be exploring what it means to these organisations to be active users and partners in Primary Authority, how some of the unique challenges of their sectors are being addressed by the scheme, particularly during COVID, and finally, how they see their partnerships progressing in the future.
Before Neil starts the first of 3 sessions, can I ask everybody to please turn their mics to mute? After the 3 recorded sessions are played, there will be a Q&A session, so please do add in your comments or questions in the chat functions whilst these sessions are playing. Now let's move straight into the first of the 3 conversations.
Helen, thank you so much for joining us. The first of 3 conversations we're having in this session. I'm aware healthcare in Wales is delivered through a variety of providers, including health boards like yourself. Helen, could you give us a picture of the structure and the size of your health board, and perhaps give us a little bit of information about your Primary Authority partnership with Wrexham County Borough Council?
Well, the Health Board is the largest health organisation in Wales and has a budget of 1.3 billion and a workforce of over 17,000 staff. As it is the largest organisation in Wales, it's spread over a large geographical area. And to highlight this, it'd be the same as like an acute hospital, Manchester, Liverpool and Leeds merging into one health board.
Helen, I believe you entered into Primary Authority and your partnership with Wrexham County Borough Council in 2016. Having been active in a Primary Authority partnership, can I ask you, what is it like as a user of the Primary Authority scheme to be in a partnership compared to, say, when you weren't in a partnership before?
Being in a Primary Authority partnership has helped us to put like an improved processes in place. For example, in terms of recording temperatures, logging and monitoring aspects of food hygiene control. And then we've implemented those processes in a consistent way across all of our hospital sites. And also because we've got an acceptance and awareness of the value of the Primary Authority partnership and the processes that it has helped us implement, this has led us to working to a lot more senior managers in different disciplines. And these include directors of nursing, directors of infection prevention and ward managers. We've also just recently introduced ward kitchen and pantry logbooks, which the ward staff complete to ensure their compliance with food safety at their ends, because that now ward kitchens or pantries form part of our routine EHO inspections. And these logbooks, they're regularly audited by the catering management teams.
That's interesting, Helen. Thanks for that. And it's great to see that senior roles are very much involved in your Primary Authority partnership. Helen, are there any unique aspects of working in your sector that are particularly supported by having a Primary Authority partnership?
Before we entered into the partnership, we had a number of food safety management systems across the health board. I think it was amounted to around about 20. So one of our first objectives was to put all these into one. It should take quite a while, but now we've done that and it's been fully implemented and appears to be working really well. We've also developed a suite of logbooks for recording and monitoring food safety and hygiene control to comply with food safety legislation. And these books are the same across all sites. So it means if we have a member of staff on one site go to another site, and all the paperwork and everything would be exactly the same. Also, since we've been in a partnership, the primary authority officers have built up relationships with catering staff in the acute sites, and as part of training staff, staff were taught that when during a food hygiene inspection, if they're asked questions, it is okay for them to say, "Oh, I don't know, but I know where I can go to find an answer," or remind myself of that process, as opposed to panicking when asked a question and responding with something that's totally incorrect. So that's led to more improved confidence within staff during these inspections. Also, another good point that we had from it was our primary authority completed equipment audits of all the main kitchens in the acute sites, which led, and then following his report, led to over £1.5 million worth of investment for new equipment.
Helen, can you give us an idea of some of the benefits of having the primary authority partnership? For example, has it helped achieve any of your objectives?
Yeah, the primary authority carries out all our food hygiene training up to they do level 2 and level 3. And they also do level 2 training for occupational therapists, and these occupational therapists help with patients who are preparing and cooking simple meals just before they're discharged from hospital. They also liaise with local authorities after EHO inspections across the health board sites. And so far, out of all the 22 hospital sites we've got, 19 have a score of 5, with the other 3 sites being a 4 or a 3. These scores haven't since been part of the PA partnership. Our food hygiene scores have improved.
Looking forward, Helen, how do you see your partnership progressing? Or put another way, are there any new challenges or priorities that you and your partners in Wrexham Council have at the forefront of your minds?
Now, we realise we've made improvements with scores so far during our relationship with the primary authority, but what we really want to focus over the next year is on all sites becoming a 5.
Helen, thank you so much for taking time out to be part of our session today and for giving us some insights into your sector, as well as your partnership arrangements.
That's no problem, Neil. It's been lovely talking to you.
Now we come into the second part of the conversation. Thank you, Wayne, for joining us and in our Week of Wonders learning session. Perhaps you can tell us a bit more about your business and the advice that you receive from your primary authority partnership.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks for inviting me. I'm Wayne Topley, the MD of Cedar Court Hotels. We have 4 hotels across 4 individual council areas in Yorkshire, 500 bedrooms and around 20 businesses under the roofs of these 4 hotels. As you'd imagine, we have a range of services and a range of regulation areas we need to look after, from leisure clubs and swimming pools through to kitchens, which are busy places, and not to mention the 300 team members we have to look after.
Perhaps you can tell us a bit more about the challenges and perhaps some of the opportunities of running your business during COVID.
Well, I'm not sure how long your conference is, so I will summarise this, because the challenge of running a hotel and hospitality business through COVID have been epic. But let me paraphrase a couple of key points. Number one is, like most business leaders, I was sat at home with my little Epson printer, making it smoke, printing out thousands of pages of COVID guidance. And by the time they're printed out, they're out of date. That was really tough for us. We were a bunch of professionals trying to make policy and process to protect 300 people. That's our team. To protect 1,000 people, they were our guests. It was really hard work. It really was. And we felt a little bit unqualified. As a hotel, we had to make some big decisions, made them pretty fast. We started to really lean on Helen, and she's our lead contact on our primary authority, and ask for support, ask for some serious educated guidance. And we got that pretty much straight away. Bless, I mean, the guidance wasn't clear for you guys either, but there was certainly the feeling that there was an educated individual in the room translating this into a language that we could understand. And that was based on the relationship we'd had with Helen and the understanding she had of our business, but also she's a pretty experienced operator. So it helped us to understand that somebody knew the ins and outs of this detail. In terms of some of the bigger elements, well, we've made so many changes over the last few months. If I can give you just one really good example. We closed our pools, we closed our leisure clubs for the first time in about 20 years. And closing those facilities due to COVID allowed us some time to analyse the benefit of those pools to our business. We actually found that they were running at a loss. We talked through the option of not reopening pools. And what do you do with an empty pool? I mean, straight away, that tells you that's a health and safety hazard. Legionella, slips, trips and falls. How do you manage something like that? We brought Helen into that conversation at the very early stages and explained what we wanted to do and how best could we achieve a safe conclusion. The result was we actually made £100,000 investment in closing 2 of our pools and keeping 1 of our pools open and turning 2 of our health facilities into unmanned facilities. Something that just was a real taboo in the world of hotels. That's something you didn't do. But we're able to do that through really great advice and a really structured approach from Helen. On the COVID advice, we wrote our own SOPs. We had them verified and supported with Helen. We wrote our own risk assessments. We felt so strongly about the impact of that advice. We actually went back and had that advice assured because we wanted that to be the basis of our COVID processes, not just, I think we knew it wasn't a 3-month thing. This was going to be a new way of life. So to have that assured advice on top of that primary authority guidance kind of gave us a bit of a gold seal. And that helped us. It's now part of our everyday language. It's part of everyday life, part of our culture. And I don't think we'd have got that reassurance if we hadn't have had that support from our from Helen and the team.
COVID has been challenging for most businesses and for everybody. Was there any other business model that you've taken on board during this period?
Yeah, absolutely. Diversification has been the name of the game. Once we understood what the COVID processes were and how to keep our team and our guests safe, it gave us a real confidence, and we were able to go out to the market. And there was still a market. There was still a need. We're in hospitality. People needed bedrooms. People needed accommodation. From the assured advice we received, which we were able to share with other government departments, we've actually been successful in delivering 14 different contracts over the last 2 years for a range of COVID needs, be it Huddersfield, where we are today, my sexy backdrop. We turned this hotel into an overflow care home for Calderdale Council. Never done before. And it was fantastic because we had that guiding light of the advice and our own processes. January last year, we got a request from the Department for Transport to take positive tested COVID truckers into our hotel. Let me just explain. So we all focused last January on these poor chaps that were queuing up at the docks to get our products out to Europe, but we kind of forgot about the guys that are bringing products from Europe. If they tested positive, they couldn't go home and go into isolation. So the Department for Transport set up a backbone down the UK at 3 or 4 hotels where these guys could go and isolate in comfort with food and beverage provided, and they stayed with us until they tested negative and they could continue on their journey. I mean, that was a major transformation, something we'd never done before. Again, the primary authority really helped us, and our assured advice helped us because we submitted that whole planning process we've been through to the Department for Transport. But more importantly than that, I had to host a Zoom call with 45 members of my team at Bradford. And it was very important to me that I gave them the option whether or not they wanted to be part of the execution of that contract. These guys were sat at home at furlough. And I suppose one of the proudest moments of the last 2 years when I gave everybody the option and I explained the contract that we'd taken on and why we were taking it on and did you want to come and join? And I went through the COVID guidelines again. Not one of those 45 people turned around and said, I don't want to be part of that. They had that assurance that they were going to be safe and they were delivering a safe level of service as well to our guests.
Would you describe the advice to your business nice to have or critical to helping you run your business?
Simple answer, it's critical. Although we spent a lot more time at home over the last 2 years, the decision making has reduced from days, weeks and months to hours. What the primary authority relationship has helped us to do is to make decisions based on one set of clear data and not 4. I don't want to be disrespectful of the councils, but we have had a number of issues, and I certainly have in my career, where a different council's view or a different authority's view on a subject can be slightly different. And that can slow down the decision-making process so much. We have made large people, product investment decisions very quickly based on having an educated insider in our team.
Can you give us a picture of how you see your primary authority partnership changing and developing in the future?
Yeah, a really good question. I think the pace of change that we've experienced over the last 2 years isn't going to stop. I don't think COVID's going away for a number of years. And I think the customer expectation is changing just as fast. What that means to me and our primary authority relationship is that the strong relationship we have now is going to be even more critical over the next 2 or 3 years. In simple terms, the repurposing of our hotels hasn't slowed down from the 20th of March. In fact, it's getting faster. And the speed of making decisions is getting even more important because we've got businesses now that are running at full capacity and we're still expecting to make changes. So we've worked really hard over the last 2 years. Helen's been a key member of our team over the last 2 years, and I see that relationship going from strength to strength, and I see the value it adds probably getting bigger and better with time.
Thank you, Wayne, for taking the time out of your busy schedule and for sharing your thoughts and experience about your working relationship with your primary authority.
Are you more than welcome, Nick? Always happy to share the good word. And Helen, if you're watching, thanks for all your help.
Hello, Gavin, and thank you for getting involved in this session of ours. Can we start off, Gavin, with perhaps you giving us an idea of what Arnold Clark's main products and services are, where your sites are, for example, and maybe tell us a little bit of information about your primary authority partnership with Glasgow City Council.
Thank you, Neil. I'm delighted to be here, and thank you for this opportunity to speak about Arnold Clark and our primary authority partnership. So just as a bit of a background, Arnold Clark was founded in Glasgow in 1954. Principal activities involved in are vehicle sales, after sales, and also vehicle hire, which is contract hire and daily rental. As a business, we operate with over 200 outlets in Scotland and England, and we represent 28 new car manufacturers. And a point that may be of interest is that we do have a strong customer base in the south of England. If you look at the map, south of Birmingham, we only have a few locations on the left-hand side map, but you'll see the actual heat map on the right-hand side, which shows the extent of customer base that we have in the south of England. In terms of the business and how it operates, turnover in 2021 is projected at £4.5 billion. We will sell in the region of 300,000 vehicles. From a local authority perspective, we deal with approximately 55 local authorities. However, as the maps have shown, our customer base is throughout the UK. And our primary authority relationship with Neil Coulthart and his team at Glasgow City Council, that commenced over 10 years ago in April 2011.
Yeah, Gavin, you certainly seem to have a very extensive reach throughout the UK with your sales. Thanks for that insight. What is it about primary authority, Gavin, that initially interested you and your organisation, and perhaps anything that continues to hold value for your business?
As a forward-thinking business, why would you not enter into a PA partnership? In terms of what our relationship is with Glasgow City Council, in terms of primary authority and where they assist us and where they help us, there's various aspects, various things. First instance I'd probably mention is legal and compliance. So we obviously have legislation and guidance, and that includes Scotland and England variations. So they assist us with that. We also look carefully in terms of how we market and how we promote the business, how we advertise the business. So that covers website, television, radio, press, direct marketing, what happens in our dealerships on site, and also social media. And a kind of good recent example of compliance is the whole situation that's arisen as a result of COVID. So interpretation of rules and guidance, the whole social distancing, operation of branches, wearing of face masks, all these type of things have been discussed in length with Glasgow City Council. We also have our local authority relationships. I think I mentioned we have probably in the region of 55 different local authorities who we deal with, and that provides a kind of bridge between us and that local authority, that we have a primary authority relationship in place. And it also helps where we're moving into a new geographical area. We may open a dealership up in an area where there hasn't been an Arnold Clark presence before, and Glasgow City Council can be speaking to that local authority to aid that process and simplify the process.
Oh, hello, Gavin, and welcome to the session. So, Gavin, are there any unique aspects or challenges with the car sales sector, and how does primary authority help address these challenges?
Hi, Nick. Thank you for that question. I think I'd go back to how our relationship initially started back in 2011. And in the years prior to 2011, the simple reality was that we were generating too many complaints. We had too many dissatisfied customers. Our CEO and managing director, Eddie Hawthorne, he focused a great deal of attention on customer satisfaction and fully embraced initiatives such as the primary authority relationship. We had to work better with all the local trading standards authorities. And such initiatives, such as the primary authority relationship, have greatly assisted us in the drive for customer satisfaction. We regularly meet with Neil Coulthart and his team and discuss all the various things that are happening within the company. In addition to this, primary authority, Glasgow City Council provide us with an inspection visit programme where a number of branches will be visited each year by Glasgow City Council trading standards officers. So as a consequence of these visits, feedback will be provided at the time of the visit to senior dealership staff, and also a visit report will be produced and provided to Arnold Clark head office. Now, there are some quite interesting aspects in terms of these inspection visits. For example, should an officer find an issue with a vehicle on display, for example, there could be a safety defect, then they actually have access to Arnold Clark internal systems, and they have the ability to block the sale of that vehicle until the issue has been resolved. Thereafter, the vehicle will be re-inspected, and thereafter trading standards would clear that vehicle and allow it to be sold. In terms of inspection visits also, it is the case that if we're opening up a new branch in a new geographical area where we've not had representation before, then we tend to have inspection visits taken out in the early stages following the opening of these dealerships.
So, Gavin, could you tell us how your business had to adapt during COVID and the support being made available during the pandemic?
In the last 2 years, we have as a business experienced situations that we've never experienced before. At the start of the pandemic in 2020, we did, for the very first time in the history of the company, have to close down our dealerships for a period of time. Our own situation was complicated in that we had UK government rules and guidance that applied to England, and at the same time, what would quite often be different rules and guidance that applied to Scotland. And throughout the last 2 years, Glasgow City Council have been on hand to provide guidance and advice, both on a proactive and reactive basis. We've kept Glasgow City Council fully informed of the approach that we've taken throughout, and Glasgow City Council have provided feedback and greatly assisted in terms of keeping us on track. And turning back to these inspection visits that take place, we can also build into the inspection visits aspects of what we do to make sure that they're being complied with. So, for example, during COVID and throughout the year, Glasgow City Council have built into the visits checks in relation to COVID-19. So they're checking to see that our COVID controls in place in our dealerships are being adhered to. For example, our face masks being worn, as social distancing in place. As indicated previously, we do, as a UK company, sell the most vehicles, and we also service, repair and MOT the most vehicles. As a company, we will deal with in excess of 1 million customers a year, and the simple reality is that issues can arise, and our focus is always on resolving issues as quickly as possible when they do arise, and then considering what caused the issue and do we need to look at doing something differently to reduce the possibility of an issue occurring in the future. Customer satisfaction is at the heart of everything we do. We want to sell a customer a car today, but at the same time, we want that customer to buy their next car from us and beyond. And the quest for customer satisfaction has been cascaded throughout the company, and all staff are engaged in working together as a team to ensure that we have happy customers.
Finally, Gavin, can we touch on some of the priority areas for development that you're thinking about and working on right now, and will likely occupy your minds in the near future?
So customers want to deal with us in a different way. They spend a lot of time online doing research, and we've got to take that into consideration as well. We look at how a customer accesses our website, www.arnoldclark.com, and the stats show us that 74% of the time the customer is accessing our website, it's via a mobile phone. So we're a modern retailer, and going forward, we need to fully embrace how a customer wants to deal with us, and that's led to the development of a customer app where the customer is able to engage with us entirely via a mobile app or via a desktop or via likes of an iPad. That kind of change in process also involves us speaking with trading standards and letting trading standards, seeing how we're now changing the way that we deal with customers. And as a consequence of the primary authority relationship, we can make sure that what we are doing on the likes of a mobile app in terms of a sales process is on track.
Thank you, Gavin, for giving us what feels almost like a virtual tour of your business and also your sector, but also more importantly, how the Primary Authority Partnership Scheme supports your business. Thanks for your time, Gavin.
Thank you, Neil, and thank you, Nick. It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Neil and I would like to thank all of our speakers for their invaluable time and contribution today, and we hope that you found the content interesting and useful.